zone on how he's going to do, especially on a wheel. But besides those two, I mean, I have to throw in Trenton Jump. I mean, he's been finishing second a lot at these 1.5 miles. He won back at Kansas. Going to be trying to get another win before playoffs start, but that 46 has been looking quick. And then also kind of a dark horse, I'm going to throw the hat out for Matt Dyer, my brother. He's been looking pretty good at Texas recently, and whenever Texas comes around, he seems to always be up front in the top 5.
Yeah, and of course, his win coming at Daytona back on 131 of this year, of course. That was a night race at Daytona, 125 laps. This track a little bit smaller, but we look and see how Matt Dyer do. And of course, a new winner on the season last week was Spencer Hardison, getting the win at Road America. Definitely a different race. You don't see Road America used a lot in NASCAR. Believe they are really going to, but definitely a different track, one that I'm not used to calling. It was a fun race. We'll see how that compares to this one. But qualifying is coming up here in, well, 0 time. The clock is out, so we got about 7 seconds till qualifying begins. I'm going to throw my pick into the hat here just because I was talking about his mullet that he had in the back. He said, I'm here for the party. I'm going with Braxton DeWeese. I think he's going to pull an upset and get a win here.
I mean, Braxton's another one of those drivers. Still hasn't gotten a win this season, but he's one of those guys that's been up front and looking strong at times. Been a couple of mistakes coming around, being involved in some wrecks. So I got to say, Braxton, not a bad pick at all.
Yeah, not a bad pick at all. As we get to it, and again, we apologize. We thought the graphic team put those out of there, but next week they will be in there. The blue, the red, and the blackish gray do not mean anything here tonight. That is just an old name. We had a few extras in there we apparently did not know about, so we will definitely yell at the graphics department for not getting those fixed. But again, the blue, the red, and the black for Luis, those just disregard them. However, Sam, next week they will be back, as this is the last race before the playoffs. We will have our top 12 drivers, and we know from hearing, as long as Joshua Altus starts this race, he will be locked in. The only exception to that would be if we had, say, 40 drivers here, and clearly we don't have that, so it looks like Altus is going to be locked into the top 12 in the playoffs.
Also, you can be throwing Eric Stamp into the mix of drivers being locked in. So we've already got 9 drivers, if this is the amount of drivers we have coming into this race, that will be locked into the playoffs just by the start of the green flag. Massive for Eric Stamp and for Altus. I mean, Altus, this is his rookie season in the Adrenaline iRacing series. So, a great job to see a rookie in the playoffs compared to all the other names we've seen in the playoffs before. And now we keep our eyes out. 3 positions that are open when we get the green flag racing, and the drivers that are inside of the top 12, that's going to be in 10th place in points wise. Stooksbury, Gray in 11th, and then Austin Jordan in 12th. And sad news, it looks like Atlee Gray not here today. I don't see him on the board, and that is a potential of him not making the playoffs.
Yeah, he's sitting right now on 14th with 298 points. Is the Rhino car going to go for a little bit of a ride there? As we're talking about that, we'll jump over to Joshua Altus real quick. But yeah, Atlee Gray sitting in 11th. He is right now, like I said, 298 points, 293 for Austin Jordan, 293 for Tom Bourne, and Alex Welter, 288. So yes, if Atlee Gray does not show up, his playoff hopes, well, unfortunately, they are going to get flushed down the toilet, because that will seal his fate. You've got to make it. He's made enough races. The points are points, and there's too many people within striking distance.
Yeah, and that with Tanner Johnson and Tom Bourne both running, and they're both, Tom in 13th, tied with Austin Jordan in points. And then you've also got Tanner Johnson 9 points back. Based off of the fact that how many points are going to be given out, Atlee Gray will not be making the playoffs if he does not show up, which could give the potential of Tanner Johnson having a chance to get in the playoffs here, as Tom and Tanner are the only ones that can point their way in. Robert Kenny is the last driver. If he gets a win, he locks himself in, but he can cannot point his way into this race. We're going to be seeing if that 34, if he wins here, that is the only way he can get in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure, and this is why we beat that dead horse as much as we can. Is even if you're not a playoff driver, and I have a feeling that's what's affecting the car count here tonight. It's almost like bad weather at a dirt racetrack. People don't show up. If you're not in the chase, show up and race anyway. Even if you're not, you affect it. How the chase works, how the playoffs work by taking points away from somebody. And, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to interfere with their battle. Yes, you should interfere. That's your job. Come out here and, ruffle their feathers a little bit, race them. Don't wreck them, but definitely come out and race. And I've said that for years now here on iRacing, that just because you're not in a contention to win the championship, come out and race.
Yeah, and qualifying, we've got 30 seconds left. I mean, the more drivers that show up, the more opportunities it gives for those drivers that are further down for them to possibly point their way in. So it's always good to see the maximum amount of drivers coming out week after week, both just to get more experience and to just have a lot more drivers and more excitement to be watching. But I've seen fields that have been small and they give us great racing action, and excited to see how they're going to do. Robert Kenny coming crossing the line, going to be in 9th, but he will not be able to put down another lap time. Shane Terrian and Eric Stamp did not even put a lap down. They feel much comfortable in the back.
Yeah, very interesting there is the top shook up just a little bit there. But Tom Bourne, like you mentioned, still at the top of the charts. And a very short grid here, but we'll go ahead and quickly run through it for you as we'll get that infamous music going as your starting grid presented by Team 126 Racing is going to be the following. On row 1 on the pole, going to be the 54 of Tom Bourne. On his outside is going to be the 9 of Spencer Hardison as they're getting lined up there. On row 2 is going to be the 5 of Joshua Altus and the 29 of Logan Brakey. On row 3 is going to be the 61 of Bronson Safford and the 15 of Braxton DeWeese. Starting on row 4 is going to be the 28 of Austin Jordan and the 88 of your brother, Matt Dyer. We'll see how he does tonight. In row 5, going to be the 34 of Robert Kenny and the 23 of Tanner Johnson. On row 6, going to be the 19 of Tyler Stooksbury and the 46 of Trenton Jump. And on row 7, rounding out this field, is going to be someone we look to move to the front. 2 drivers really going to be moving there. That is going to be the 38 of Shane Terrian and the 53 of Eric Stamp. A stout field, not a lot of them, but a stout field indeed here, Sam, tonight.
Yeah, and it's just exciting to see this field of all capable drivers of winning here tonight. I mean, every single one of these drivers, it could be based off of raw speed, and for some it could be strategy-wise on how they win this race. They've got a lot of tires to work with here today. For 200 laps, they've got a total of 6. The set that they have on now, and 5 in pit road, so tires are going to be something that these drivers can play with on if they want to pit early or if they want to push it as far as they can, have an extra set later on. It's going to be fun to see the different strategies that throw out, but with no stage caution, this race could go green all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's what we're predicting is this race to go green all the way. Again, this is all bearing that we don't have self-spins. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of cautions as far as multi-cars getting together. That's always a possibility. I don't predict it. Sam, I kind of feel like the weatherman right now. We could see this, but I'm not predicting it. There's about a 20% chance here that we'll see a multi-car wreck.
Yeah, we'll see if the low pressure from back in, 14th position comes up and into the high pressure. But they're already wrecking to the back. You do not want to have that. And oh no.
Tanner Johnson, we will go back and take a look at this. We do have that on the replay, but of course we're first going to get this race started as we'll go a little bit kicking the asphalt. We'll be right back and we'll watch what just transpired. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Did I just have to eat some crow there a little bit? I said I didn't feel us having too many multi-car incidents. However, we're going to go back here prior to the green flag and to take a look here at a quick Pulse Poppers incident replay. And again, this was prior to the race even getting going. Here it is right here. You're about to see Tanner Johnson in the 23 machine is who we're focusing on. And again, not 100% sure what in the world happened. We know the 23 was involved, and we go back about 40 seconds. So it's coming up here in just a moment, and just chaos on the pace lap.
Yeah, you're going to be seeing the 23 right now, right when Robert Kenny in the 34 pulls ahead, just drops down and unaware of really where the drivers were around him, getting the nose of Tyler Stewksbury, one of the drivers that's really fighting to stay inside of the top 12 in points today. He already has front nose damage that has to be frustrating, and Tanner Johnson, one of the drivers that had a chance to possibly point his way in. So already complications before we even got to the green.
Yeah, that is, that's sticking my foot in my mouth a little bit. We're not going to have any or many multi-car incidents, and we have one prior to the green. So we'll see. Is that a sign of how today's race is going to go, Sam? Did we predict this wrong?
I think it's just a very fluky incident. And for a lot of these drivers, they're planning on just running clean for a little bit. But you saw there as Jump got a little squirrely with Kenny right on his back bumper. And these are those moments where drivers are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. Shane Terrian, he started back in the back of the pack. He's now moved up into the top 10 at 38, slowly making his way forward. And he's just trying to get a simple feel of how the steering wheel is going to be. Again, usually runs a controller, and very rarely is on a steering wheel. Thought he would test it out. He's already locked into the playoffs. Why not try something different?
Yeah, I agree. He's just going to try something different. We commend him for that, taking our challenge and doing so. But, what a good job for him. Is we're keeping an eye on that. We're also keeping an eye on this little battle starting to brew. That is between the 5 and the 9 of Altus and Hardison. Hardison, last week's winner at Road America. He is sporting, it looks like a new paint job here, red, white, and blue. Obviously, Memorial Day weekend. I just got back from Memorial Day service for all our veterans. So a big shout out to all the veterans out there that have served and that are serving. So, Sam, that we can do exactly what we're doing right now. Sit in our nice air-conditioned rooms and call it a virtual NASCAR race.
I mean, your room is air-conditioned. Mine is not. I've got the windows slightly cracked trying to get breeze.
Well, in that case, technically mine's not either. I'm here in the studio, and the computer that runs this whole thing is massively huge. It gives off a lot of heat. And I've done the temperature thing. I keep it around 72 here in the studio. And when I got done with the race one time, I think it had raced at like 8 to 10 degrees. So it gets up to about 80, sometimes 90 degrees. So it is definitely not cool in this office. But, hey, we're still doing this. We're still allowed to. We choose to, sweat to death here in the sweatshop. But the 29 of Logan Brakey is on the move right now in that number 29 machine. We'll get the sponsor on that here in just a moment. But he's taken to the bottom side, and that seems to be, Sam, where the preferred line is to make a pass.
Yeah, and Brakey kind of on the start backed off just slightly, trying to conserve his tires, and that's what's allowing the 29 to make this charge forward. Hardison trying to keep up with Tom Bourne, and ultimately it seemed to have backfired for the 9. He's kind of been drifting up, pushing a little bit too hard in these entry of the corners, and it's been hurting Spencer Hardison. I'm expecting probably in the next 5 laps, Hardison might drop all the way back to around 8th or 9th based on the pace that he is running and the way that he is just beating down on these tires on the entry of 1 and 2.
Yeah, and we'll see again. Obviously, this is no limits Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. So, if you get the win, does it make it even that much more special? We'll talk to the winner and find out later on tonight. But Braxton DeWeese on the move as well. It looks like we're taking a look, and I say that he's actually not gained or lost any positions so far. Who is making moves, though, is Trenton Jump. He's up 5, your biggest mover in this race right now. Shane Terrian Tarian right behind him, +4. So two fairly big movers, but with a field of only 14, Sam, we're not going to see a whole lot of double-digit movers, just single digits here tonight.
Yeah, and for Jump and Tarian, they both have been the favorites all season long. They've been doing just so well at getting up front, staying up front. And for Jump, just an odd qualifying run for himself, but I'm expecting him to continue moving forward. And for Tarian, he's getting slightly pressured by Austin Jordan, who was right at the quarter panel and seems to be dropping back now.
And interesting, Eric Stamp showing he went to pit road, and our timing and scoring, because it is virtual, even though we try to not make it as virtual as we can, we're getting there. It looks like he entered the pit lanes, but never actually went to his pit stall, just via parking it in there. He actually pulled into pit road and then actually basically towed to pit road. So not sure what happened there, but he actually did not drive the car into pit road. He just drove it into pit lane, killed the car, towed it, and he is done for the night. Looks like he has packed it up.
Yeah, doing a little bit of a star and park. I think for Stamp, if he knew that he had to race to get into the playoffs, he would have stayed out there a little bit longer. But understanding the scenario, he's already locked in just by starting the race, did his 2 laps, parking it. And Eric Stamp, we'll see you next week when playoffs move on.
Yeah, personally, if it was me, I'd rather stay out here and get the seat time, because nothing beats some quality seat time. All that I do ask and hope that if Eric Stamp is not racing tonight, maybe he's out in the chat with us tonight. We'll see. As I do see, we got a few people hanging in this here. We do have Atlee Gray saying good luck, guys, on social media. Excuse me. So obviously not here, but he is watching. So maybe we'll find out what the reasoning is behind not being here today. Whether it be family events and stuff like that. This is a weekend when a lot of people go out of town.
Yeah, a lot do, and it's time to celebrate with family and honor those that have served. So I'm not surprised that some people would be stepping away from racing this weekend.
Yeah, and I got family over still, and we were discussing what we're gonna do for dinner, because this is dinner time for we come here, and for me anyway, I waiting after I do dinner till after the race, and we were discussing what we were gonna do here because it does fall right in the middle of it. And I said I wanted fried chicken, and they were like, why? I was like, because I went to this Memorial Day service in my grandmother's hometown, where population like 5 and growing now, although it hasn't grown to 6 or 7 in the last year or two. But I wanted some fried chicken, and I got 1 chicken leg. Like, what happened to all the chicken that used to be here? I didn't get any chicken, Sam.
They asked for what you wanted, and you only got 1. That's a crime right there.
I know. It used to be we'd go there and there'd be lots of chicken. You never had to worry. And I don't know. We're rambling about food. We'll get to that here in a minute, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But caution free so far, Sam. And right now, Tom Bourne, your pick saying he'd be the favorite to win. He is out front and doing a good job. About 5/10 of a second lead, but that 29 and the 9 still battling a Breaky and Hardison, and it's getting pretty heated between those two right now.
Yeah, and with how hard they're battling, it's bringing in Bronson Stafford and Braxton Tuise into this little bit of scuffle, and Bronson's now going to figure out if he's going to go on the high side, and it looks like he'll put the 61 and try to make this work. Backs out, but now he's giving space. Here comes the 15, as now they're all starting to get stacked up, and it took him about 20 laps, but they are back to racing side by side between the 29 and the 61, and Braxton Tuise thinking about 3 wide there for a second.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. I did say we were lower on the car count, but the key isn't how many cars you have, it's how good those guys race. They're racing good right now, and they're racing side by side, putting on a 3-4 car battle for you right now. This is all for 4th, 5th, 6th position, and they are just doing it. I thought they were going to go 3 wide for a minute, though, Sam. That could have got real interesting.
Yeah, if anyone's going to make it and force it 3 wide, I would imagine it would be Deweese. He has done it before. I've seen him in other leagues go 4 wide at times, and he is not afraid. If he knows that he can make a move that's going to put him in front of everyone else, he's willing to make that charge, and it looks like they're finally going to clean up, giving some space. Here comes Deweese, going to make the pass and try to enter the top 5, and behind them, Shane Terrian, Trenton Jump. Almost the same scenario that we just saw Braxton and Bronson have, catching up to Hardison and Breaky. It's now flip-flop. Now they're the ones who are the prey, and the predators are coming behind.
Yeah, definitely. I almost don't know. I'd rather be the predator up until the white flag. Then I want to take it. I'll be the predator, or the prey, sorry, for, that last lap. I think it can hold you off, but when you've got the likes of Shane and Bronson in the 61, the 46 back there of Jump, I don't want that behind me. That's like a pack of wolves in your rearview mirror. And just to show what it looks like if you are Braxton Deweese, as we'll jump over to him and go to his right rear cam. They've kind of fallen back, but imagine those 3 cars, that much talent on your back bumper. But it looks like maybe Braxton Deweese is a little bit faster and he's pulling away from these guys. That's good news for him.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to think the new aero package for these drivers, they're feeling that dirty air a little bit more. So when you're right on the tail bumper of someone, it's kind of difficult to try to make the move. And especially when you're boxed in, you got a driver above you and in front of you, you feel the tightness. And right now, I think a lot of the drivers are just trying to focus. How do they want to attack and try to make these passes as quick and as smooth as possible without being stuck behind the person in front?
Yeah, you talk about smooth. You were watching there, the 46 of Trenton Jump. He has Shane Terrian behind him. He was real close to his back bumper. Shane let off a little bit. But again, that 46 is wicked loose whenever someone gets behind him. So you've got to be careful. You want to get there and try to get by them. And that seems to be a strategy that we've seen twice now. Get behind someone, get them a little wiggly, not enough to wreck them, and then pass them.
And finally, Shane Terrian able to pass Jump. He's been following Jump for the past about 15, almost 20 laps now, and finally able to make the pass. And we'll see now with Shane Terrian leading those 2 drivers, if he can somehow figure out a charge to get by Bronson Stafford. But we're now starting to see those drivers that were saving their tires, how well they've been doing that, and for those that haven't been pushing and being aggressive, you're starting to see them fall further and further back and losing more and more ground.
Yeah, they are losing ground, and I'm loving this shot here from this bush cam. It's not really the bush cam, but we're calling it that because it says Bush on the hood. The sun is going down, Sam. This race, while we brought to you as a day race, more of a late afternoon race, and we'll see, look and see the official wording on it. Here is I'm right, late afternoon. Well, late afternoon is going to turn in tonight before this race is over.
Yeah, it is, which is going to cool down the temperatures even more. As we'll take another look at what our saw blade weather is looking like, just because the weather is slightly evolving. It was 78 degrees during qualifying. It's dropped down to 77 for ambient temp, and for track temp it's 82. So it's going to start to cool off a little bit more as the race develops, and with a smaller field, that's also going to allow the track to cool off a little bit quicker because there's not as much heated up rubber. It's laying down more and more heat.
Yeah, that is definitely something we'll be looking for. And, that makes you wonder if you're someone like Tom Bourne out here in that G Fuel number 54. You're out front dominating the way this track is right now. An 82-degree track temp, 77 ambient temp. If that temperature goes down, is his car going to handle the way it was when it was hotter? And could we see a potential new leader? Because Joshua Altis has not let him get by yet.
No, and Altis has actually been gaining the last 2 laps. He gained about 3/10 the lap prior to this, and then a 10th this time around. So Altis is slowly gaining onto Tom Bourne, and they've been doing a great job pulling away, and Hardison hasn't been able to really gain onto these guys. But if we can hop on board with a cockpit view of Tom Bourne, he actually modified, where they have the driver's name. He actually customly put on focus there. Can't really see it on this cam, but he put down focus right over his name so he can remember, I have to stay focused, because the last time that he was here running, he actually made it, he was leading stage 1 most of the race, and with about 60 laps to go in last season's Texas race, he made a mental error of passing the pace car under caution, which had made him have to do a drive-through and threw his race away.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I can see it there. It says stay focused, and he even went and put some like googly eyes over on the B as well. So very interesting there, and we'll see if maybe we can get a different angle, but I believe that is our best shot we are going to get from that. But yes, definitely stay focused is a good key. You do not want to be making a lot of mistakes on this track. Or any track for that matter, especially when you have somebody like Joshua Altis behind you, Spencer Hardison, Braxton DeWeese, Logan Brakey, Stafford, really the entire field in the top 10 in that matter. I believe, with the exception of maybe Austin Jordan, everybody has won a race in this, not in this season, but in this series. Everyone on this track, with the exception of 1 or 2 drivers, has won a race. So everyone is good competition out there.
Yeah, it's great competition, and a lot of these guys have raced with each other in other leagues, so they've got a lot of awareness and understanding on how the different driving styles are, on those that are well known for being able to save their tires and those that really aren't. I got to give major credit to Logan Brakey in the 29. He's blinking slowly a lot this race, so his telemetry and telling us what his laps have been is off, but I got to give major props. Logan Brakey is probably one of the most improved drivers in my eyes on saving tires. I think primarily for most of season 1 and a little bit of season 2 of the Adrenaline Racing League, these guys were dealing with a lot of struggle, especially for Brakey, on how to save his tires. And a lot of season 3, he's been a lot more consistent, running well, doesn't have a win, but that consistency made him one of the first drivers to point lock himself into the playoffs. So I'm excited to see if Brakey can somehow find some more speed while also being conservative on those tires.
And, I'm not sure if it's just on my end. You talked about him there, talked about how good he was doing, and he started blinking with the connection issues too.
Yeah, no, it's been an issue. I saw him blinking at the start of the race, and he's been doing it almost every lap. He blinks at least once, either on the back stretch or through 3 and 4. So that's something that he's going to have to work on. But this battle, once again, for 7th place, Shane Terry and Trent Jump, usually they're battling for the lead, but right now battling in this middle of the pack. Not a usual place to see these guys.
Yeah, this is definitely not where we're used to seeing them. And it definitely shows. I really think they're probably just kind of biding their time right now. They're not pushing too many issues. We'll see as we'll take a look back here, even further back in this field. The best battle on the track is between Tanner Johnson and Austin Jordan. Obviously, we remember Tanner Johnson in that 23 had a little incident on the track on the first warm-up lap, or the only warm-up lap here as they were pacing, and that was not really able to recover from it yet. He's still back in 11th. He has lost 1 spot, so we'll see if he bounces back during pit stops. And I noticed, I don't know if you can see this on the back end, his name actually says Mr. Tanner Johnson.
Yeah, I do not remember seeing that, but I'm not surprised that he would go by that at all.
I'm not sure. Let's see if we can pull that up. If it'll say no, our overlays will only pull the Tanner Johnson. They're currently in 11th. But yes, on the back end of SDK, it actually says Mr. Tanner Johnson. So he will be referred to as Mr. Tanner Johnson going forward, as he's actually trying to run down Tyler Stooksbury in the 19. And, if you're Tyler Stooksbury and he gets up to you, are you possibly a little scared as Tanner Johnson hits the wall?
Yeah, I mean, for Tanner Johnson, his goal right now is to at least have a gap. I mean, it seems almost impossible to say, but Tanner Johnson needs to be running in the top 3 and hope that Austin Jordan is running back here in around 13th or 12th position for Tanner to even have a shot for the playoffs. These guys are really just racing each other. But for Austin Jordan, it's run around Tanner Johnson, and you are locked into the playoffs because with Tom Bourne, with how well he's running up front, it's not looking like he's going to be having any issues unless he makes a mental lapse and costs himself. But for Tom Bourne, his goal for tonight, yes, he wanted to win, but that was also to make sure he was in front of Austin Jordan. Our first pit stop of the day. Here comes Tanner Johnson.
Yeah, Tanner Johnson coming in, and I gotta wonder if this is a scheduled stop or if he's gonna come in a little bit earlier, because we just saw him pancake the right side of the car on the wall, and it wasn't a hard hit. He just barely scraped it, so more of a not really a pancake, but grapes, whatever those things are. More like that. It was a little bitty pancake. It wasn't a big one. So we'll see. He's on pit road. We'll keep an eye on that. He's been there for about 13 seconds so far, and 14.98. So 4 tires and fuel for Tanner Johnson. I got to believe he came in a little bit early, though, because of that little issue there with the wall.
Yeah, this pit stop is kind of looking like Tanner Johnson's going with the 5 pit stop strategy. A lot of the other drivers in the field are aiming for around lap 50 to 55. That's going to be their window of trying to pit. But, looking at the drivers, this is for those that are trying to undercut, maybe pit 4 to 5 times is really the window that they're going to have. For Tanner Johnson, he's going for 5 stops this race. It doesn't look good to have to pit this early, but, pitting early, you get fresh tires, got a little bit of repairs done. Now he can take off and try to gain on everyone else. That's running about a second to almost a second and a half off of what their best time is.
Yeah, and we'll see when the rest of these come in. Again, 5 stops, could it be a winning strategy? We'll see. Again, you are limited on tires. If it's me, personally, I don't want to do that because I don't want to use all my tires during pit stops. I would want to do a lesser pit stops, so in the event we have a green-white checkered, I have a set that I can rely on if I needed back then. But then again, at the end of the day, Sam, there's a reason me and you are in the booth and guessing as to what the best strategy is, and these guys are out there racing.
Yeah, for me, I was getting these calculations just by how many tire sets they had, right? Like for most teams, they're always thinking, how do I make sure I have 1 set left? And so you do the math trying to backtrack of where time would be the best time for you to pit. For a lot of these drivers, that window is lap 45 to 50 if they're planning on saving an extra set just in case. So, expecting drivers coming to the pits anytime now from here to 50, but for a fuel run, they can push it for another 10 laps or so if they feel comfortable and confident that they have saved enough.
And we'll see who does that, as the best battle on track is between the 46, as he gets wicked sideways there, and it's Shane Terrian, and because of that little slide there getting loose, that may allow Shane to pull away. It does, but not by a lot. Those little slides aren't hurting Trenton Jump just yet as much. However, Shane did gain about 2/10 on him, but he reels him back in. Then it looks like Jump gets a little loose again, and Shane's able to pull away. So, it's kind of like a cat and mouse little battle between these two as we're coming up just about a quarter of the way done with this race.
Yeah, and I'm going to get more and more concerned about Shane the later these runs go on, because like we said, he's kind of gained off what he was comfortable with the controller, moving to a steering wheel. And he was talking to us before the race started, and he was saying that during his private practices, he felt like he was overcorrecting a lot more with the steering wheel, and he couldn't really feel it properly on how to save the car. So the longer a run goes on, if he starts to get more and more loose, I'm going to get a little bit more concerned on how Shane's going to be able to recover, if he's able to save it or if he'll overcorrect.
Yeah, and that's something that we'll both be watching for. We do. We have Tom Bourne coming down. Your leader gives up the lead to come down in that 54 machine, as well as Braxton DeWeese. So 2 more drivers coming down pit road here for tires and fuel.
Yeah, for Braxton, this makes sense. Try to stay on the same window as Tom Bourne, and they were running pretty similar lap times on their best lap time, so expecting them to stay pretty close, and why not try to do something similar. For Stewksbury, he might have to come in and do some damage. Remember, he was caught up in Tanner Johnson's little mishap on the warm-up lap, so got a little bit of front-end damage. We'll see if the 19 wants to get any of that repaired, or if he'll just take a quick stop. Also Spencer Hardison now into the pits.
Yeah, a few more drivers coming in. Again, last week's winner from Road America, Spencer Hardison, in that patriotic number 9 machine, comes to a good stop, and right side going up, left side I would imagine would go up as well. So everyone that's come down 4 tires and fuel. If you're putting a 5th tire in, I'd like to know where you're putting it, but apparently, Sam, I can't count tires. I was about to say 5 tires and fuel.
Yeah, 5 tires. Maybe some of these guys want more tires. That would be great to have. As now a huge group of drivers coming in. Altus, Stafford, Brakey, Jump, Jordan, and Zire all coming in this time by, leaving Tyrion and Kenny the last to pit as they continue to stay out on track.
Yeah, they do. Again, everybody else down. We'll check with these two, and just like that, they're coming down as well. And these two will finish out the cycle of pit stops. And, to talk about that a complete blunder of laps, if you take a 5th tire, maybe they're just adding extra rubber to it. You know how you do with the toilet paper roll? You started with a little roll with 100 sheets, and what do you get toilet paper rolls now that are like 6,000 sheets or something like that? Maybe they're just adding extra rubber to the tires.
Yeah, maybe just add in a tad more, a little bit more stabilization possibly.
Yeah.
For you to have a chance. Be something great. I gotta say, Shane did a great job coming in the pit road, and we're gonna be talking about him a lot because it's a lot of unknown about him here today. And if he's feeling comfortable and confident, we could be seeing Shane transitioning from a controller to a wheel full time. Most likely, that's not going to happen. Shane's been running the controller since 2012, so on iRacing. So we wouldn't be surprised if Shane just goes back to what he was comfortable with.
Yeah, just to put in perspective of how long Shane Tyrion has been running a controller. So the history of my broadcasting career, I started out as No Excuses TV, which was with my own series, No Excuses Sim series. That evolved into me going over to Max Speed TV, where I picked up Upper Edge Racing. That transitioned into Virtual Racing Network, where I still continued with them, and then Upper Edge obviously closed their doors, and we picked up some other leagues, where this one in particular he races, and I was with Virtual Racing Network and LSRTV as we acquired that and then sold it again. But he's been racing this for a long time, just in my time of knowing him, and he's done a phenomenal job with it as well. So it definitely has gone to say, and on the terms of Upper Edge Racing, where he used to race, while nothing is officially set, we keep getting little holdups and setbacks as getting stuff sorted out. Upper Edge Racing, where he started, where I first met him anyway, and I believe started racing, is going to be making a comeback. I have personally acquired it, and we are going to be bringing that league back into racing action.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I know when you picked it up, did a couple of dirt races under Upper Edge Racing, and loved watching those races, and I can't wait for a full league to develop out of that, or just events in general to come out of that. Really a historic series that was coming out back in the day.
Yeah, definitely is. And of course, we already have planned the Power Eye Midget Eye Nationals. Will be returning in December during the winter for all the midget racers. And we're working some other stuff, some other big races. I think we're going to do a lot with Jeff Stabnow with the Northwest, and get their expertise as well. So we're going to have some joint efforts in that effort. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of these drivers in there as well. As right now, that is Hardison and DeWeese that are battling extremely hard, as right now Hardison trying to find a way by. And I told you, Braxton DeWeese, my pick, I think he was going to be a sleeper a little bit and come through this field, as right now he's +4, not the biggest mover, that still belongs to Shane, back in 8th position. But no, sorry, it doesn't actually. It's actually Trenton Jump 7 in 5th. But I still think Braxton DeWeese is the sleeper here tonight. I think he's going to sneak his way up there and get this win.
Yeah, I mean, for Deweese, he came in right when Tom Bourne did. They were able to get an extra lap over Spencer Hardison, who was trying to keep up with Tom, but it just didn't work out. Now Spencer, he's finally having his opportunity, and with the battling going on for second place, what once was for Spencer Hardison less than a second gap between himself and Tom Bourne, it's now 3 seconds between first and second place, a major gap. And now it's a question with Hardison making this pass on Deweese. Can he now start to run down the 54, or is Tom just going to continue to pull away?
Yeah, we'll be watching that, and we are checking social media throughout the night, and we did get the reports from Allie Gray that he is actually on watch for the Navy right now. That is why he is not here.
Yeah, huge thanks to Atlee Gray for your service out there. And, we all know that he wanted to be racing. And if he showed up, would have most likely made the playoffs. But we still hope to see that machine back in the groove of things in these later half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely honor your support there. He's doing his job right now so that we can do what we love doing here. It's basically a job for me at this point, as it's turned into a full-time deal. And I talk about this a little bit here and there, but people are like, "Oh, it's sim racing. It's not the same." Sim racing, while it is not the real thing, it'll never be the real thing, and to me, it'll never replace it. I love it, but it will not replace being at the real racetrack. But doing my job now with Race on Texas, filming races, having a good time doing that all started because they found me here on iRacing one day. So if you're doing this for announcing job and you have dreams of going to bigger places, yes, the pay is not great, but it's decent. Let us know. Again, we have the way to do it. You can contact us on Facebook or LSR LiveSimRacing.com. Definitely shoot us a message if you want to get started. Sam, I know you're just fairly newer with us here, but you've done it before. This could lead to other things for potential announcers or producers.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really catapulted me into branching out with other companies and trying to really grow and becoming a better commentator. I still go back and watch my first ever broadcast that I ever did, and I cringe at how bad I was, but also looking back on how much I can evolve and get better. And for those that want a chance to get better and even have a chance to commentate, I mean, it's a great opportunity to even try to come in, be in the booth. It gives you a new light on how the drivers are racing, and it's always fun to see it from an outside point of view. And I know that a lot of people want to be drivers and be in the cockpit driving these things around.
Yeah, it's definitely a different view here, and you have to know it's fun, because anyone that knows LSRTV knows here, they know who Wesley Outland is. He does work for us, obviously, and you can hear the enthusiasm in his race, in his voice when he does these races. He gets excited about them. They're fun. Like I said, definitely check us out as we're checking out this little battle here between Hardison and Deweese still. And Deweese, he's fast. Maybe could Hardison go back-to-back wins here? That's going to be something that we're going to have to focus on a little bit later. But right now, you're picking favorite here tonight. Tom Bourne, well, he has got a 2.4 second lead over these two right here. So he has checked out from this hotel, put the keys on the counter, and said, "See you later."
Yeah, but he's being ran down. At one point, the gap was 3 seconds once Hardison passed Deweese, and ever since, Deweese has been willing to just follow the 9. They've been catching up to Tom Bourne, and Tom is now catching up to lap traffic, which is potentially going to lose him time, because now Tom's got to deal with slightly dirty air and how he has to really get around traffic. We'll see if they easily get around, if it's an easy pass, or if they're going to make it a little bit more difficult. But for Spencer Hardison and Deweese, they're running well, but there's a driver behind them running about a tenth faster. That's going to be Altus, who is coming with a lot of speed in that 5, and he pitted about 2 laps later than what Hardison and Deweese did, and those 2 lap fresher tires, it is adding up, and the 5 is coming.
Yeah, and I will say congrats to the 54 of Tom Bourne. He did get by the pace lap pile driver just there. Okay, Tanner, I'm sorry. That one was all in fun. He did pile drive a car, but under pace lap. But we absolutely love Tanner. He's an awesome driver and a good friend. So I had to razz on him a little bit. But yeah, you're right. The 9 and the 15, they have that 5 coming right behind them. And another thing, what was it? 5 minutes ago, I said we were just at the quarter of the way done. We're fixing to start lap 70, so we will be 31 laps away when they get to the line. We are just about at the halfway point. It will be here before you know it, especially going caution-free so far.
Yeah, and Tanner Johnson right now is about 3 laps away from having to come back into pit road. So we're about 20 to 30 laps away from having our drivers come in for their second green flag pit stop. And this was something that we were touching on, is due to the fact of a smaller field, they can spread out a lot more, and we could possibly go green all the way. But I think the only times that we are going to have a little bit of a shock is when we get later on in these runs, when we were seeing there of Trump and Terrian. They were having a little bit of a handful to deal with, and then also with fresher tires on a little bit of trying to warm up the tires so they have more grip. Those first couple of laps, that's also the sketchiest moments where we could see a caution as well.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it. Turn 1 is a little tricky here. Not as tricky as something like Atlanta or Las Vegas, but you have to be weary there. And we've yet to see it, I don't think all season, but coming out of the pits. Like you just said, those tires are fresh coming out of the pits when you're coming from the flat to the bank and trying to get up to speed, because you don't just creep along. You still have to be getting up to speed. So those are problem spots and getting on to pit road as well. But definitely there's a lot of potential spots where you know the word I won't, you can hit the fan, and these guys are doing an awesome job of not letting any of that happen. And they are getting a little spread out, but there are some hit and miss battles on this track. Matt Dyer sitting in 12th right now. We'll take a look. He is minus 4 spots from where he started, so not having the day he wanted. But hey, we're not even to the halfway point. This still could be a recovery.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Dyer. He just does not seem comfortable with the setup. He's been really putting a little bit too much wheel into these corners, so he's turning a lot more, burning more rubber a lot quicker, and it's just has not been the day for the 88. It also seems like his entries might be slightly off, but Tom Bourne easily going to make this pass as Dyer is going to go high, given space, and 54 now puts another one down, left with 11 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, laps are unfortunately, our drivers are unfortunately getting put laps down, and that's the last thing they want to see. It's one thing if you're going to go a lap down in their stages, or you have some cautions, but without cautions, getting put a lap down, that is like a death sentence on this track, or any track for that matter, when you're just going to stay green and have no chance to get it back. So I'm really surprised we're not seeing these drivers that are going a lap down really fight it a little bit harder and make the leader of Tom Bourne work to get by them.
Yeah, I mean, for Tom, I think everyone's recognizing, hey, we're a small field. I don't want to take someone else out. It's something that we were touching on with sometimes drivers don't show up because they don't want to interfere with the drivers that have a chance to get into the playoffs. I think that's the same thing here. Tom, one of those drivers, he missed out on last week, didn't show up for Road America, which was a very costly mistake, not showing up, because it put him in a deficit where instead of just showing up to the race and he would be locked into the playoffs, he's now has to work and have a chance. I mean, he's led a lap, so that's 1 bonus point. He's trying to lead the most laps, which if he leads 100 laps, that he's going to get that one as well. It's 2 bonus points, as he was tied with Austin Jordan coming into today's race. It was looking good for Tom, especially with Gray not showing up. That's just one position that he can move into. So it kind of worked into Tom's favor, but it was a very stressful time right before this session came up for today's race for that 54.
Yes, he powers out to the front as we're getting notifications on the cell phone. Hey, I've heard it in real racing. I let it go. We'll check in a little bit. But the race is coming up, the round of 12. to me, we have Darlington Raceway. Somebody's going to earn their stripes. Somebody's going to go to victory lane. Iowa Speedway, then we go there, and Talladega Super Speedway are the round of 12. And I want to point out here that the lap count, we love this league, we love Tanner and the admin crew, but I really wonder where they come up with their lap count sometimes. We're running 200 laps at Texas Motor Speedway, then we turn around and we're running 200 laps at Iowa, a much shorter track. So I'm not sure the lap counts. I think they do like a random numberizer.
Well, I know for Texas, it was the same last season, just because they wanted to make sure that they were gapping it out, so drivers had to make a certain amount of pit stops. That was one of the thoughts. And then also just have more laps so drivers have more chances of, if a mistake happens, it gives other drivers a chance to really will their way in and run some of these drivers down. But with a smaller field, it is a lot longer of a race. It gets pretty tedious at times. But we're watching this battle for second place. Spencer Hardis and Braxton DeWeese, they've been still following one another, and it is working. The gap between first and second, it's less than a second and a half, and they now can smell the blood of the 54.
Yeah, that may be the one downfall for Tom Bourne, that we had someone pinning, but we don't. If these guys behind him, Hardison, Deweese, Altus, Stafford, if they would work together, which they're racers, Sam, nobody works together, but if they would work together and get a little bit of draft, they could probably run down Bourne, and that may be one of the keys that they need to do to catch him, as they were right there together, they were in line, they weren't battling, and they were reeling him in, and we'll see that gap still is closing. So if they would tighten up just a little bit more, maybe Hardison come back to Deweese and Altus catch up, I think we would see them catch the leader in probably 10 laps or less.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good chance that they could catch up to him. A battle I'm watching is the battle for 7th. Trenton Jump, he's been side by side with Logan Brakey for the past about 3 laps. I think he might have finally been able to get by that of the 29. But that was a hard-fought battle that was also quite sketchy for Trenton Jump, because Brakey was blinking in and out for those last couple of laps, and a little bit of a scare, but they got it sorted out, and now Jump going to be trying to run down Shane Tarian once again, but that difference is growing, and Shane Tarian, he's now starting to catch up to Bronson Stafford.
Yeah, he is right there with him. And just to give I think let's go up to Bronson Stafford there. Whoa, he almost cut the nose off 38 of Tarian. As this is what we wanted to go to right here. This view from Bronson Stafford. Man, Shane is just right there, saying, "I'm here. You gonna let me by? I'll give you a little bump if I have to."
Yeah, and also the both of them trying to get by Matt Dyer, and they both easily do that. 88 goes high, and man, also that battle that was going for second, Deweese has finally made that pass. Maybe not. They're side by side. They're bumping and rubbing off of one another. Second place is hot and heavy.
They're going to get it going. Again, few cars doesn't mean few battles. They are just picking them up. Oh, contact. Deweese comes down and doors the 9 of Hardison. No caution comes out for that, though.
I mean, they were both frustrated at each other in that moment, because there was a question of, why are you making this pass? And man, that was a hard lick for Hardison. It was with no caution coming out. He is now back to 4th, and with the slide, it's going to cost them so much more time moving forward. Well, yeah, no, Deweese really didn't give any space. Came down onto Hardison, and that is a rough wreck for the drivers that were trying to work together to run down Tom Bourne. And that ultimately gives Tom Bourne more space to work with, as that gap is now grown by a second.
Yeah, we're not gonna see a caution, I don't think, so we'll take a quick look here at this Pulse Poppers instant replay. We'll see if this is back far enough or not, as it is not, so we're gonna take another look back, and here it is, and we'll take a look, and you'll see coming into the corner, here. They get a little contact maybe there. That is not. It's coming up here in just a moment, as that's not going to give us here. And I want to see if we can get a good angle of what exactly happened, who came down, who went up, and you really can't tell if the 15 of Deweese came up or came down and the 9 came up. It very well could have been a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think for Deweese, he was expecting to see Hardison go all the way down to the white line, but these drivers, they've been out there for over 35 laps on these tires, so you can't run the same lane that you were running probably in those first 15 laps with fresh tires. And so in my point of view, Deweese did not give a lot of room, and because Hardison didn't go as low as Deweese wanted, a little bit of contact between the both of them, and it hurt Hardison the most. But now Deweese, he doesn't have a draft partner to try to run down Tom Bourne anymore. They've got to just muster up their own speed and hope that maybe Altus can catch up. But Hardison, he's now back in battling with Shane Terrian and Bronson Stafford.
Yeah, he is mired way back in this field. Let's say way midfield now, compared to, like you said, where he was up at the front. So definitely not what he expected in this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on him, see if he can bounce back from that. The good news is he can get some of that damage repaired in the pits. We'll see. No fast repairs, so he'll have to do it all manually. Good news, it was a hit, but it doesn't look like it damaged the car a whole lot. However, you know, what it really could have hurt, and that we can't see, Sam, is those tires when he slid sideways. You know, if he could have flat spot them, wore them out a little bit more. And, you know, when you're battling these cars with this many laps on them, 40 right now for him, 42 for some of these guys on this stint, the tires are already worn out. You really don't want to do any extra wear to them.
No, not at all. And speaking of wear and tear, Tanner Johnson, he's been out there for 48 laps, finally coming into pit road, stretched it about 8 laps further than he did his first stint. So, you know, trying to make sure that he's not doing 5 stops, but he certainly is putting a lot more of a headache on this team with pitting so early on that first stint.
Yeah, and you know, we're gonna have to have a talk with him. So he's clearly, you can see there, he smashed up the right side of the car, right where it says Buffalo Wild Wings. And everybody knows me. They know Buffalo Wild Wings are my favorite place to get wings from. And the fact that he is damaged where that quarter panel is and that logo is, that Sam, that slightly triggers me a little.
Well, he got a little bit of a kiss from the Doge car from Dewsbury. You got to remember from that warm-up lap. So. And the dog was hungry, wanted a little bit of a taste of the buffalo.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, as we'll go over to Tewksbury, if before long they start making wings for dogs too. I mean, they apparently are making Busch. I wouldn't call it Busch beer, but it's a
pork
drink.
Stock.
Yeah, pork stock. So hey, you never know what's going to happen next. Well, I could go into a story about that, but we'll save that for a caution or a rainy day, as these guys still going at it, and they're kind of single file now. The best battle is right here between Stafford and Hardison, and that is really the only battle on this track right now. Maybe one going on with Breaky and Jump or Kenny, but for the most part, everyone is spread out. I think the next round of pit stops is going to be when we see these cars or these drivers really bunch back up. That seems to be when they bunch back up. The last time is when pit stops happen and everyone gets fresh tires and they're a little bit more racy.
Yeah, we're expecting a lot of these drivers coming in around lap 97 to around 105. That's the window that we're looking at for drivers that stayed out the furthest. That was Kenny and Shane Terrian that were the ones that stayed out the furthest. Everyone else, they kind of came in sparsely on when they were coming in between about a 4-lap window. So, you know, for a lot of these drivers, they're trying to turn this into a 4-stop race, just because 200 laps, it's a long time to go. But this is it's an interesting one, because the more I'm doing it, this could turn into actually a 3-stop race where drivers have saved enough tires possibly here to have 2 runs if we have late cautions.
Yeah, and while I don't see those cautions happening, you know, I didn't see we were going to run out of chicken today either. But, you know, I can't see these things. I can't predict the future, Sam, and I wish I could. If I could, well, I'd probably be a multimillionaire. But, you know, nobody can predict what's going to happen, and we just have to kind of feel it out here for the moment. We do expect some of these guys to come in, like you said, here in the next 5 laps or so. The question is, who's going to be the next one down? As obviously we've already seen one driver, and that was well, we'll get to him in a minute. Says right now it's going to be Tom Bourne's going to be the next one. So your leader, once again, the first one down.
Oh boy, Tom Bourne came in very close to speeding on pit lane, and he's trying to gain as much time coming in quick into pit road. These drivers have to be careful. They're coming around these corners going about 160, 155 at times, and they have to crank that speed all the way down to 45 miles per hour on entry to pit road. You don't want to be caught speeding, especially on a track that's looking like it could be staying green all the way through.
Yeah, and I was trying to find, I knew it was Tanner Johnson, but I couldn't find him. It's, again, it threw me off because it says Mr. Tanner Johnson as he is off. And we do have now Tyler Stooksbury on pit road. Braxton DeWeese. Braxton this time coming in on the same lap as your leader, but just a little bit later, and that is just because obviously he was further behind your leader this time and not right there with him. So he's in, and now we have Austin Jordan coming in. So pit stops right about where you predicted, 97 to 105.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers trying to aim for about lap 50, 100, and 150. That's the markers that these drivers are going for to make those 3 stops. Then they'll have about 2 extra set of tires if needed. So if we have a quick caution that comes before we get to lap 150, these drivers can put on an extra set, and then it might, you know, make things a little bit more interesting. But everyone right now, they're feeling comfortable and confident with the way that pit stop's been going.
Yeah, they are. And right now, as they're switching him, we're going to go to Bronson Stafford. He is in the pits. And it looks like Trenton Jump. There he is. Trenton Jump going to join him as well. And Matt Dyer coming in to the pits in number 88 machine. That's giving the lead to Joshua Altus, who is now going to officially lead this lap. But it looks like, well, no, I thought he might be. Yep, he is. He's slowing down to come down pit road as well.
Yeah, everyone is going to be slowly coming in. Again, expecting to see Terrian and Robert Kenny go a little bit further than everyone else. And as I say that, Terrian comes in. And so that's going to be giving Robert Kenny, he'll be coming into the pits and looking at the drivers that are needing some bonus points. Lead a lap, that would help a lot of these drivers. Austin Jordan, Tanner Johnson, and Stooksbury, those 3 drivers really need to lead a lap if possible, but they've been coming in and being a lap down to where they don't even have an opportunity to lead a lap. And Tom Bourne, one of the only drivers to be getting a point, and with that of Gray not showing up, that really shakes things up to where it's a question of, we have 4 drivers here, there's 3 spots open, and it's looking like Tanner Johnson might be the one driver left out that could have pointed his way into this race.
Yeah, and that's going to be unfortunate for him. But so we are just past the halfway point, lap 102 of 200. And at the moment, they are quite spread out. So what we will do is step away for a quick commercial break. We will go non-stop side by side so you don't miss any of the racing action. And if any cautions do come out, we'll recap it when we come back. So again, don't go anywhere. Quick commercial break, and we'll be back.
Based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees@yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, again here at LSRTV. 108 laps, so we're working 107 complete. Of course, I am your host, Charles Wood, alongside of me, Sam Dyer. Sam, it has been a long green flag racing here tonight so far at Texas Motor Speedway. So not the Banana Republic has not visited at all. However, maybe the Plantain Republic, because they're green, and that's what we've seen all night.
Yeah, it has been green, and it has practically all been led by Tom Bourne, trying to get redemption after last season's mishap where he thought he should have won there. And Tom's still searching for his first win this season. He's had multiple chances this season. I feel like he should have won back at Charlotte. He could have won back at Richmond, but just little mental errors cost that 54, getting penalties on pit road. And, he's got to be careful here. Still has at least one more pit stop to go for the 54. If we go green to the end. So cross your fingers. He's got a little marker in front of him on his dash saying stay focused, so that he knows what he needs to do to win today's race.
Yeah, he definitely does. We saw it. It says stay focused, Bourne, and then it has some little googly eyes too on top of that. So if he wins, we're talking to him. I understand the mental note, but the googly eyes, that would just make me laugh and wreck anyway. So we'll see what made him do the googly eyes, but maybe a little bit of a battle starting to brew here between Shane Terry and Bronson Stafford and Trenton Jump. I wouldn't call it a battle yet. They're right there, so it's a little bit of a battle. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. But that is the closest position battle on the track right now.
Yeah, and these guys have been close all season long. And coming up, it looks like the draft finally kicking in for Stafford and Jump. And they've been equally gaining on each other and gaining on Shane. And so what was kind of a larger gap is now closed in, and the battle for fourth. Hot and heavy. These guys they've been right on top of one another practically since lap 20. We've been seeing these three just duking it back and forth, and for a long 200 lap race here, that certainly is helpful to know that you are constantly focused because you're racing around someone. And if you're by yourself, for some drivers, they can get a little bit laxative there and kind of just melt away and not really think about what they're trying to do up front. And them trying to battle as much as they are, it gives us also a treat to watch.
Yeah, it definitely does. And doing a little research here is, we absolutely love having, multiple monitors here in the studio, so I can do research, and y'all don't even know I'm doing it. Trying to figure out how many laps the Texas race had for 2020 or 2021. I'm not sure if I don't think they've ran 2021 yet, have they?
Well, I don't know if they have. I don't think they have yet.
Well, we're about to find out here as we're going to see. We're going to do some researching here and find out. It was the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500. So again, we're trying to figure out how many laps they ran. Stage 1 was 100 and so they ran 334 laps. So we're only 134 laps short of the real distance.
Yeah, it's a long race. These drivers, we're past the halfway marker. They've been out there on track for over an hour now. So they're marching well. If we stay green, we might get this thing done a little bit over 2 hours into this race. But if we're going to be seeing a caution, it could happen here for the battle for 5th place or for the battle for 2nd, as Altus is caught up to DeWeese as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they've been qualifying and practicing for well over an hour and a half, about an hour and 20 minutes. The actual race itself here is at 59 minutes and 45 seconds. So we are coming up on the 1 hour mark exactly, as Tom Bourne having a little bit of a connection issue that is not good for him. As you just mentioned, he's had a little bit of heartbreak, and now it looks like maybe some trouble striking for Tom Bourne.
Yeah, you do not want to be seeing yourself linking in this type of scenario. He's already locked in, leading the most laps. He's led 1 lap. He's got the 2 bonus points that were mostly necessary. He's lapped the driver that he was focusing on beating of Austin Jordan. Tom Bourne, his goal is just to keep being in cruise control and win this race and hope that his internet can hold up, because if it doesn't, this is going to be another heartbreaking race. It's going to be 3 races this season that we should have seen the 54 in victory lane.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. If something was to happen, again, just heartbreak hotel for Tom Bourne. Hopefully, we got our fingers crossed, Tom, that you can hang on for another, how many laps we got left? 83 laps is all we have left in this race. And, 83 laps, you think, man, that is a lot of laps. It is, Sam, but caution-free for 119 laps thus far. Dare I say, knock on wood, as the studio desk here is solid oak wood. Knock on that. I don't think we're gonna see, any cautions here. I think this race is gonna go caution free.
Yeah, it's looking really poised to go caution-free, and, just because everyone's being very generous with one another. I mean, most of the drivers in the field, they've raced with each other for now almost 3 seasons. This is the 3rd season of Adrenaline iRacing Cup Series. I mean, this is the 2nd season of the Cup Series, 3rd season as a whole, as their 1st season was in trucks. So these guys, they've had a lot of respect. They've raced around one another in this series for 3 seasons. So they're feeling a lot more comfortable, understanding, hey, let's give each other space. But I got to say, the driver that's on the move, that has to be Shane Terrian. He's got some of the freshest tires out there. Same with Altus. They went on the same strategy. We got a little bit fresher tires than Bourne. And Shane Terrian is flying. The more track time he's getting, remember, this is the first time we've seen him in a wheel. And I think he's only raced on the wheel maybe 5 times at most. He's usually racing it with a controller, but the more track time he's getting, the more relaxed he's getting, more comfortable, and he's now 4 seconds away from Tom Bourne.
Yeah, he is right there trying to make things happen. Again, I think he's got a good shot. He's definitely our biggest gainer, as he is 10 spots to the good from where he started, sitting in 3rd. That is the only time in this entire race now that someone has been double digits. And, we knew that was going to be a tough feat to do, for the simple fact that there's only 14 drivers. So if you wanted to gain 10 plus spots, you had to start back in 11th would be the first spot if you were all the way in 1st. So 11th through 14th starting positions are the only ones that could potentially ever be 10 spots plus from where they started.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Altus and for Terrian. Altus right now getting about 4/10 a lap. He could be right on Tom Bourne's bumper here, probably in the next 4 to 10 laps or so in that 6-lap range. F5 is flying currently, and he's now a second and a half away from Tom Bourne. Also want to give an update on Spencer Hardison. He was running and battling and working with Braxton DeWeese in 2nd place before that last caution we just had. That last pit stop we just had. The 9, he took the repairs. He was in there for over 55 minutes, and his race is practically done now. A driver that was looking poised and a chance to win this race and a great finish, now is a lap down, hoping to finish in the top 10.
Well, definitely he was in there a long time. I really hope he wasn't in there 55 minutes, though.
Yeah, 55 seconds, excuse me. It was a minute and 20 seconds. That's what it was.
Yeah, if he was in there 55 minutes, we should be home by now. Going to eat some dinner.
Oh, man. We're back to food.
Yes, we're back to food. It is dinner time. I got what you meant as I saw that 55.1 seconds that he was on pit road. Keeping in mind, if you're not familiar with pit stops and pit road, usually about 13 to 15 seconds. So that is about 40 seconds longer than he wanted to be on pit road. So that is it's unfortunate. He did get that damage fixed, though. And you're right. We're watching Joshua Altis. He was 1.5 seconds behind Tom Bourne. Now he's 0.549 seconds behind. Has the 5 of Joshua Altis been playing possum? Does he have a winning car here? And he's just been sliding under the radar all night.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4-lap fresher tires than Tom Bourne, and those laps are massive. It is allowing you to have a little bit more grip, can carry that speed, and it's just at some point these tires are going to equal out, but that's not until about 40 laps into a run, and so that's not going to be until we get to lap maybe like I would say like 135. That's when these tires might equal out. So Altis in the advantage now in the draft, and soon to be making a poise and a chance to make a pass. But Altis is at that space, a little bit of fresh air to work with. Now he's in the dirty air in the traffic. We'll see if the 5 can, if he even has a chance to get by the 54.
Yeah, as we go on board with Altis and that MP Motorsports number 5, and man, just look how quickly he's gaining. And when you talk about laps, 4 laps difference, 26 to 30 is the difference. Altis, again, not a lot of fresher tires, but hey, it's a little bit, and if those 4 laps, Sam, are making this big of a difference, so we got a little blinking there from Tom Bourne again. What would 5 or 6 do is he's obviously taking the lead right now, and he took it fairly easy. He hadn't quite completed the pass. There he goes. He is your new race leader, and Tom Bourne may be going to give him a little shot there, but he lays off. So, 4-lap fresher tires obviously mean a lot here in Texas tonight.
Yeah, and Tom, he came into the pits about 3-4 laps earlier than what he did on his first stint, so it was kind of an odd time to see the 54 come to the pits. He was trying to short pit, I think, to get a little bit more of an advantage. I think he might have taken a mental note. He can't do that again, but because that, the second to last pit stop, he short pitted, it means he's going to have to short pit again here on his final pit stop, which is going to put him in the hole, and it's not looking good for Tom Bourne with that. Pitting a little bit earlier that last time around, it could be costing him in the long term in the big picture of winning this race.
Yeah, you say in racing or in any sport for that matter, you're usually allowed a mulligan, a mistake to be made. However, in racing, mulligans can be made. You can make a mistake on pit road. You can make a mistake on the track. But that being said, mulligans can't really be made when you don't have a caution to be able to, bounce back from that mistake. And that's the case where Bourne's at right now. If he made that mistake of pitting 4 laps, 5 laps too early, and now, like you said, he's stuck on that commitment, the only way to get out of that commitment is a caution, and we haven't seen one of those yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you make a mistake early in racing, you're going to need at least 2 more lucky scenarios to happen for you to even rebound and have a chance to come back. And for Tom, that's going to be a caution, 1, and then also hope that he gets a great restart. But for now, it's going to be just hope, hold on, and maybe Altis is going to pit early, but usually when you are the car up front, you're going to try to stay out as long as you can, or if you see the driver behind you pit, then pit the next lap. But Tom was one of the drivers that started this off, and here we go. You made your bed. Now you got to lay in it.
Yeah, and we've been on the track. I know I have, and I'm sure you have as well. And when you're racing, you have a spotter. There is a spotter in your ear that tells you leader's pitting, leader's pitting. So he knows, if you're Altis, you know when the 54 came down pit road. Your spotter told you that. And if you're Altis and you're doing all this math in your head and you're saying, okay, Bourne just came down 5 laps prior to me. He short pit, and I just got by him. I'm not going to do that if I'm the leader now. I'm going to stay out. You know, not only did Tom Bourne kind of learn from this, obviously the leader of Altus is going to learn from that as well. So really, Altus is the benefactor of that mistake as well. He's getting to learn that lesson without having to make a mistake.
Well, the biggest thing for Tom Bourne is the fact that I think he might have let Altus go just so then he could fall behind the 5, so that Tom could try to maybe save a little bit of fuel. He's in the draft, might be able to back off a little bit sooner because of how much more speed he's carrying, and now is allowing him to maybe make up that ground, stay out of lap or 2 further, so then he can make up the fact that he did pit earlier on this last stint. But also another driver to watch out for, that's Shane Terrian. He was 4 seconds back from our leader about, I would say, 15 to almost 20 laps ago. He's now within a second and a half, about to make the battle for the lead, a 3-car battle.
Yeah, he is right there. He's going to pounce when he gets the chance. And I think you're right. Maybe Tom Bourne did let Altus by. We'll see shortly if Tom Bourne is just playing little mind games with Altus, or if indeed he just got passed up and there was nothing he could do about it. That's something we'll keep an eye on. Obviously, Shane Terrian, we're going to keep an eye on him as well. So, again, the later stage of this race, Sam, as we have 64 to go, they're starting to heat up a little bit with a lot of different strategies and a lot of different scenarios could potentially play out.
Yeah, I think for all the drivers besides one, they're good to make it on one more pit stop. That driver I'm concerned about, that's Tanner Johnson, who kind of had to throw a Hail Mary and try something completely different. He pitted extremely early on his first stint, had to be the first car again on his second, and here on the final, what could be his potential final pit stop, he is going to have to come into pit road here in the next 5 to maybe 7 laps, and that's going to be putting him about 5 to 10 laps short for making it to the end. It's going to be a tough task, but we'll see if the 23 is able to save enough fuel to make it to the end if he needs to make this final pit stop.
Yeah, it will be, as he's, like you said, 46 laps on his stint. The nearest driver to him is Tom Bourne with 41. Everyone else right around 37, 36, 37, 38 as they cross the line. Also, Braxton DeWeese was on 40 laps ago. So DeWeese and Bourne potentially on the same strategy here, and we know it may not be working out for Tom Bourne. So is it going to work out for DeWeese as well? Probably not. We'll see. Again, there's a lot of strategy going on here tonight as far as fuel and tires.
Yeah, especially with these long, strategy calls. When you get into these types of long races where there is no caution, this final pit stop is where drivers might try something absolutely crazy. Someone could possibly think about going for a 2-tire stop to try to gain just a couple of laps. Someone might be pitting about 5 laps earlier than what they've been doing, thinking that they have enough fuel. So there's a lot of different calls that drivers can make here. I think the winning call is whoever pits the last of our top, 5, top 6. I think they're going to be the one to watch out for to possibly win this race.
And we're sitting here watching Tom Bourne. He is right there with your leader, Joshua Altus. So while he did let him go, I think you're right. I think the strategy was not that he just got passed, as more it could have been Tom Bourne trying to let him by to draft and save a little bit of fuel. And that seems to be the case here. Is Tom Bourne is not getting passed, or not getting let go too much by Altus. He's not pulling away at all. However, they've got to be careful because Shane, like you said, is right there. He is closing that gap quick.
Yeah, and then about 3.3 seconds away from Altus is that of Bronson Stafford, who Stafford is doing his best to try to come up and catch up to these guys, but Tanner Johnson just got done with his pit stop, and now he's got 58 laps that he needs to go on this stint. I haven't seen anyone go past 50 laps, so it is that's going to be a tall task for the 23.
Yeah, that is a tall task indeed, and we'll see when the rest of these guys are going to come down As right now, your leader was on pit road at lap 101, 97 for Bourne, 101, 100, and 100 for Terrian, Stafford, and Jump. So these guys going to be coming down here before we know it. And before you know it, Sam, we're going to be at 150. We're lap 144. We are about to be in the last closing 50 laps of this 200-lap event.
Yeah, for all the drivers, it is focus time. Make sure you get into pit road without speeding, don't slide into your box, and make sure you get out without wrecking your car. Those tires are going to be slick. You don't want to be spinning them around and costing rubber. Got to be smooth coming in, and I think for some of these drivers, they might come in a little bit conservative. We've seen Tom Bourne come in extremely aggressive and almost get caught speeding on the last time he came in, so these drivers have to be careful, not get a little bit too far past the edge when they're coming into pit box.
Yeah, you have to be perfect. This is, like you said, that final stop. You can make a mistake on pit road on the first 2 or 3, but when it comes to that money stop, there's a reason they call it the money stop, and you do not want to make a mistake on that final pit stop of the night. You do, and all bets are off, and you very well could see yourself just throw your winning race out the window if you're someone like Altus, Bourne, Terrian, even Stafford or Jump, Deweese. These guys, anybody could throw their race away on pit road.
Yeah, and looking at the drivers that are going to have to come into pit road first, we're looking at Tom Bourne, Braxton Deweese, and Tyler Stooksbury. Those are the 3 drivers expecting to come into pit road here probably in the next 3 to anywhere from the 2 to 3 lap window. Everyone else, they're looking to be out there for another 5 to potentially 7 more laps. So another 2 to 3 more laps of a little bit more wear and tear. But,
not to cut you off,
Tom Bourne.
Tom Bourne on pit road. That is the biggest amount of blinking he has had thus far in the race. He was gone for a good quarter of the track, and his blinking issues are not getting any better here, Sam. They are actually getting worse.
Yeah, he is probably just hollering at everyone that's connected to the Wi-Fi and saying, please get off of it because I want to try to win this race. But this is a very early pit stop. He's going to have to go 53 laps on this stint. And that means he's got to figure out how to save fuel and also try to run down and stay in front of Altus. And I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, and we got our fingers crossed here in the studio and over, and your remote studio as well here, that internet connection holds out. You've already made a potentially fatal strategy on the pit stops. You really don't want to see insult to injury when it comes to your internet and just knock you out of the race for sure. So hopefully that holds up. Maybe, just maybe we'll see a caution where he's able to, cycle back around and get back with everybody else. But Braxton Deweese, just the next lap, he's coming down as well.
Yeah, also Stooksbury came in this time a little bit before Deweese, so both those drivers expected them to come in, and then the next wave of drivers we're expecting Trenton Jump, Bronson Stafford, as well as that of Austin Jordan and Hardison. That's the next group of drivers we're expecting, and here they come, and Altus.
Yeah, Altus and Stafford coming down as predicted. I'm beginning to think I'm going to take you to Las Vegas, Sam.
I don't know about Altus coming in this early. I think he should have stayed out another lap or 2. Should have been the last car to pit because he had the advantage. He ran down Tom Bourne when he had over a 3-second gap and was able to run him down and pass him. Now you're giving the advantage to Shane Terrian, who's going to be having an extra lap over these guys. Trent Jump, he's coming in this time, and everyone else following suit. It's Austin Jordan. He's going to be still staying out, and it looks like he might have clobbered the wall as the 28 is very slow.
Yeah, he is definitely still slow on down on the apron. We'll see if we can get a better shot there. The fence trying to be blocking it, but
yeah, he's just slow. I think he's just slow at all. Maybe he blew a tire, possibly.
That is very...
But I'm trying to look back, and he never touched it in the last 2 laps.
I'm thinking speeding on pit road, possibly, or some sort of penalty as we'll keep an eye. Right now, Tom Bourne, the leader, but we're watching this. We want to see exactly what's going to happen, whether it's a drive-through or a 15-second hold or a 30-second hold on pit road. He very well could have got caught speeding, but we'll find out here momentarily, as he is going to put it down. And no, tires and fuel.
Yeah, no, this was Austin Jordan's pit stop. He had to come in this time, but I'm just wondering with how slow he was, he might have blown a tire possibly, and that's why he was running as slow as he was and just trying to gingerly move the car ahead. But Tom Bourne, he pits, had a 3-lap advantage over Altus, and the gap was a little bit over 3 seconds. But the 5 is racing to catch up to Tom Bourne because Bourne is in fuel-saving mode. That means he cannot be pushing and being aggressive.
Yeah, well, he's gonna run him down, and even our scoring system on the back end don't show us anything for that 28 machine. So, like I said, possibly a tire issue on that machine. And look at all that rubber built up. Maybe that's where his tire is. Maybe it exploded all over the front of Altus's car.
Possibly. There is a chance of that.
Well, we'll hopefully maybe get a chance to sort out whether it's on air or off air. We'll definitely be looking to find the answers to that at some point. Meanwhile, 46 laps to go. We are under the 50 to go mark. And, well, Sam, as I've said it multiple times here, 50, but they are going to go by very quickly. As we've been on air an hour and 40 minutes, so 200 laps. You know, I questioned whether we would get that in 2 hours or not, but it looks like we are going to do it.
Yeah, the pacing seems right, and with this possibly being the final pit stop, I think we can do a field rundown. The field's small enough, and everyone's pretty spread out. We'll start it off with Tom Bourne up front. He's been dominating, but you can see there on the front left, there's some slight damage that he's been collected here, getting into the wall just slightly, so we'll see if that damage ever hurts him, but the driver behind him, that's Altus, who has been looking good as well. The 5 trying to run down Tom Bourne, and Altus is good. Looked at the fuel. He can make it all the way to the end. It's all about how quick he can get up to Tom Bourne.
Yeah, definitely. And right behind him is going to be Shane Terrian, who we think is a sure driver here that could potentially get a win, at least the top 3. We know that. And right behind him is someone who's always a favorite from Canada, as he likes the Canadian bacon. That is Bronson Stafford in 4th. And he is one of the 3 of 4 Toyotas, by the way, in the top 4 here in this race so far.
Yeah, Toyotas have been doing great. Another driver that was looking strong, currently in 5th place. That's going to be that of Trenton Jump. And Jump's been he's been having an up and down day. It started off extremely loose, still feeling loose. And it's just goal, hold on, get a good top 5 finish, and try to carry and build on this momentum into the playoffs. And back in 6th, you got Robert Kenny, Mr. Consistent, being hounded down by Logan Brakey, the other Canadian. And for Kenny, his goal today was to win if he was going to make it into the playoffs, and ultimately it doesn't look like that's going to happen, but he is just still chugging along, trying to be Mr. Consistent with the other driver that's been super consistent.
And the Logan Brakey back there, been consistent, had a little bit of blinking issue early on in the race. Looks like he told the other elders of his village in the house, get off the internet because I need it. And he has since got it straightened out a little bit here and there. But he is doing good in this race, definitely being consistent. And my pick for the race win, who I thought was maybe going to be a sleeper here tonight, has fallen back 2 spots. He's in 8th place. That's Braxton DeWeese. Not a bad night, still a top 10, just not the night I expected him to have, Sam.
Yeah, I think it's because of the contact that he had with the driver that's in 9th place. Spencer Hardison, winner from last week at Road America, trying to carry that momentum along, and he was running well for the first half of this race. Then got a little bit of contact from the 15, and his day has just gone up in smoke since then. Currently 2 laps down, and hoping for multiple cautions to maybe put him back on the lead lap. Then finishing up the top 10, it's Tyler Stooksbury, who had probably one of the most unique and surprising starts to the races. During warm-ups, he had that of Tanner Johnson coming across his nose, a little bit of damage to that of the 19, and he's certainly trying his best. But the pass for the lead, Altus caught Tom Bourne making the pass, and Shane Terrian's there as well. The battle for the lead, it's a 4-horse race. Bronson Stafford's there too.
Yeah, just in time. We go through the top 10, and you can see the rest on the screen. Most of those guys laps down. Stooksbury, Jordan, Johnson, Dyer, and Stamp out of the race. But man, what a battle. Is now, like you said, 4 cars battling for the lead. And Sam, unfortunately, I think that damage on the 54 has snake bit him once again, and it may keep him out of victory lane.
Yeah, the damage is hurting him really bad, tightening up the car, and it's costing him time and burning a lot more rubber. Also, he's in save mode because he was going to be about a lap or 2 short from making it from when he had to make his pit stop. But for a front 3, the tire advantage goes to Shane Terrian. He's got an extra lap on the other 2, but it's going to be Altus and Stafford. They're on equal footing. But Shane Terrian, the more race time he's been putting on, track time, the faster he's been getting. And he's one of those drivers, we've notified it multiple times. He's usually driving with a controller. Today, he tried a steering wheel. Charles, it was a challenge that you threw out to him, and he's doing a great job.
And the final words from Shane Terrian to me were, if I wreck out on lap 1, bring me in the booth and talk to me. Well, he did not wreck out on lap 1. He's battling for the lead. So I wonder what he was going to say to us had he wrecked out on lap 1, or early in this race anyway, versus what he's going to say now. He took that challenge just because I wanted to see. So I guess technically he's on an evil steering wheel today instead of an evil controller. But I want to know, I really want to talk to him. I really want to know what his thoughts are, and if he'll continue using that wheel later on into the season. Maybe he's found what his new steering device is going to be.
Maybe. I mean, I know it was a lot of comfortable issues on why he just didn't want to do it, because he just felt like, hey, I don't know how I could save it. But a huge block there from Altus. Darian's going to go to the high side, thinking about go to the quarter panel, but just not there to make the run. And what's crazy about this battle that's going on, Altus comes into this race 9th in points. He's only had 1 top 5 all season long, 5 top 10s. This is the best shot he's had at a win all season long. And he's a rookie here in the Adrenaline iRacing League. So I'm not surprised that he is doing as well as he's done. But man, Terrian, he's trying to go for win number 7 this season. And the guy behind him, Bronson Stafford, he hasn't won since the start of the season. And he's trying to get his 2nd win as well.
Yeah, you start contrast there, like you said. Altus right now, both 11 starts for Altus, 0 wins, 0 poles right now. Looking, you said, if we can pull it up on my end, there we go. 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s, and to the complete opposite, polar opposite here for Shane Terrian. Only 10 starts, so he's had 1 less start. 6 wins, 3 poles, 7 top 5s, and 9 top 10s. But they are racing side by side. Goes to show you it doesn't matter how many wins you have. You can still be battling this league. Although Shane did get by him, he's not letting him get away.
Yeah, and I'm watching Bronson Stafford. He's lingering in 3rd. He's not trying to push the really any of the buttons of the drivers in front of him, recognizing, hey, I'll save my tires. I'll let you 2 battle as hard as you want. And then when it's about 15 laps to go, I'll make my final charge and see how well I've saved my tires.
Yeah, and we're coming up right there. It's going to be 31 to go. It'll be 30 to go. Next time by, laps are winding down. If you're going to make your move, when do you do it here, Sam? Maybe 5 to go, 10 to go?
I mean, if Altus is there and he still has enough rubber to even have a shot to challenge Shane, I would say do it with about 3 to 2 laps to go. Try to make it to where Shane doesn't have the momentum to try to set up another try or a crossover move. Make the pass as late as possible, but make sure you've got the grip to make the pass. It's going to be a hard one. We know they're going to be blocking extremely harsh because all the drivers, they're trying to set up to make these passes on the entry of turn 1, where the drivers have to let off a little bit more. They're building up their speed through 3 and 4, both ends, different corners, and it allows these drivers to really try to attack the track in a different way each time they hit entry of corner number 3 and 1.
Yeah, and it's going to be, like you said, interesting. Every corner different on this track. As we got a little bit of a battle. I thought did one Braxton's we spec here that it's not. It's kind of fizzled out. So apologies there. This is the battle. The battle is up front. Early on, there's one little battle back here going on between, looks like Logan Brakey and Robert Kenny. But it's quickly fading. The battles, Sam, earlier were in the rear of the field. Now, some of these drivers that were in the rear of the field making those battles, hence Shane Terry and Bronson Stafford, they're up at the front. Now that's where the battles are.
Yeah, I'm questioning for Altus. It's like, what would have happened if he stayed out maybe another lap and was on equal footing of Terrian and Stafford? Maybe then, because, on that second pit stop, both Altus and Terrian, they came in at the same time. So both of them were gaining onto Tom Bourne equally. And then this final pit stop, it was going to be Altus that pitted a lap sooner than Terrian. Now, that's kind of what gave Terrian the ability to be leading, but Altus, he's fighting back. He's on the inside. Here comes the 5, trying to get the lead back for himself. A little bit pinched, but both drivers have to drift up and try to hold that speed. Here comes Altus.
Yeah, he's right there. That's 100 or lap 150 for Altus, 151 for Terry, and like you said, one lap earlier, and that could be the difference. But he is hanging in there. They work side by side, and right now I think Joshua Altus really just trying to find a way around that 38. As the 38 got around him, now he's trying to return the favor. And I know Altus, he's not going to wreck that 38. If he can't get by him, he won't. But he is definitely going to find a spot. And point out here, Shane, 12 spots to the good right now. He has gained the most spots he possibly can in this race.
Yeah, and also looking at the points, this is the last regular season race and setting up for the playoffs next week. And we kind of already knew our top 9 coming into this race. Just because of the smaller field, it automatically locked in Eric Stamp and Altus that weren't locked in previously. And they joined the ranks of Trenton Jump, Shane Tarrant, Braxton DeWeese, Bronson Stafford, Logan Brakey, Spencer Hardison, and Matt Dyer. And then we had about 3 spots open between 4 drivers that were racing here tonight. And it's looking like it's going to be Stooksbury, Tom Bourne, and that of Austin Jordan finishing out your top 12 playoffs if the race ends the way that it is now.
And then that will set it field up to go to Darlington Raceway for 208 laps. That one going to have 7 sets of tires, 6 in the pits and 1 on the car. So again, 200 laps at Darlington, 200 laps at Iowa, and then we go to Talladega as Braxton Louise. I'm not sure what in the world went on there, but he just about went on pit road and then decided he wanted to come back onto the track.
Got loose in front of the leaders, went low. Once they were passed, he came back up and then almost got into Bronson Stafford. So Deweese, a little bit of a scare there coming out of 4, but he's now going to be going a lap down. The only car 1 lap down, but a multiple slew of drivers 2, 3 laps down for themselves, leaving us with a total of 7 drivers still left on the lead lap. Half the field is on the lead lap at this point.
Yeah, as we come in on 22 laps to go. This race, again, winding now to the final laps as they've been racing for an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half here in the actual race itself. And they are side by side for the lead. Here comes Altus to the inside, and the number 5 Vortex Machine. He may get him here.
Yeah, he's got to get a good run coming through the center of the corner. Shane's going to drift up just slightly, and Altus has made the pass for the lead. There's a little bit of space. Shane could try to do a crossover move, but deciding to just follow behind the 5 for now. And we'll see how they want to attack coming into 3 once again. But Shane's running just a little bit, about a half a groove higher than what we've been seeing Altus. Means Altus is turning in a lot more, but Shane, you saw there, got slightly loose coming off the corner.
Yeah, this is turning into be one heck of a show up here at the front between these two. Again, if you're just tuning in, that is Joshua Altus in the 5 and 38 of Shane Terry, and Bronson Stafford is back there, but he's slightly fallen back a little bit, and I credit a little bit of that to the fact that your front 2 are so close together. They're running a little bit of draft, and that's allowing Bronson Stafford to lose a little bit. But, as I was about to say, the 15 of Deweese would maybe help him out a little bit, even though they're not on the same lap. that's not going to happen as Deweese smacks the outside wall and pancakes the right side of his car.
Yeah, that is not the way that you want to try to finish out this race. Luckily, has a buffer to work with compared to the drivers behind him, and no one's really close in front of Deweese. And looking for the battle for the lead, Altus might have let Shane Terrian just go, use those tires, as now he's up to almost over a half a second lead over the 38. As we're coming to we're less than 20 laps to go. This is running low on time for Shane Terrian to come by, and we might be seeing a rookie get a win.
That would be awesome to see the rookie get the win. Obviously, no rookie in his mind, but he is definitely a rookie in this series. As he's designated. It looks like he has rookie stripes in the back of that car as well. We know he's a rookie, and he's potentially maybe setting himself up for Rookie of the Year if they do that. Looking at the rookies in this season, it is him, Joshua Altus, as well as Atlee Gray, Austin Jordan, Keenan Massey, Johnny Jones, who we've not seen, Matt Hummel in here, Robert Sherwood, know him, but we haven't seen him since we took over, Keenan Washington, Josh Dittrich, oh, look at that one, and Joshua Williams and Josh Coley, who I know, but from the Northwest Tour back in the day. He has not been here since we've been here, so a pretty good field of rookies, and that's a good thing to have new fresh blood in your series.
Yeah, the rookies were really coming out in those first about 5 weeks, and then started to notice that they were like, hey, we're not keeping up with some of these guys, and so they started to drop out. And, Sundays sometimes can be tricky for some people. They aren't prepared for middle of the day Sundays, or about to be evening time Sundays for these guys. We're getting used to, dinner time right around the corner, or for some, it's right after lunch. So it's kind of a sketchy time for these guys, but right now, Joshua Altus almost has a full second lead over that of Shane Terrian, over 2 seconds over Bronson Stafford, the driver that's been dominating back in fourth place, Tom Bourne. Again, you got to be questioning the what ifs for Tom, right? I mean, he was so good for the first 150 laps, and it all went up in smoke because of that second pit stop that cursed him into the third.
Well, that, or when you said that he usually has bad luck and jinxed him 1-2. But no, you didn't say he was gonna. Well, actually, you did pick him. So
I did pick him. I picked him as one of those guys that was the favorite, just because of how fast he's been.
Well, I think that maybe the broadcaster curse came in. You said he was a favorite, kind of picked him. I said it about Braxton Deweese, and now both of them are having major issues.
Yeah, the driver we did not pick, that was Altus. He has been running smooth, slowly figuring this out. And you look at the best lap times that have been put down by all these drivers, it's Altus with the fastest time. The only driver to be putting down a 28.891 all race long. Everyone else has been putting down a 28.9 or a 29.0. So Altus, he's put down the fastest lap. He's just been waiting for his time to pounce, and it was on this final stint when he finally was able to push it past everyone else.
Yeah, by the way, just so all the fans out there watching and tuning in here tonight, if you're cheering on a particular driver, or you are a driver that races in a series, officially now, me and Sam both, we will take donations to our personal PayPal accounts to not pick you as a driver that we think could win, our pick for win. Obviously, whoever we pick, Sam, just has issues and it doesn't do good. So maybe we'll take a donation to not pick a driver.
Yeah, I know Tom's going to be so upset at me. I've known Tom for over 10 years now, and he's going to be mad at me on the fact that I called him out. He even said, if you keep on talking and piping me up, there's a chance that I could mess this up, and I'm not going to talk to you for a week. And I don't think I'll be talking to Tom for a week. He's back and forth, and he's going to need a caution if he wants to get back into this thing.
I believe I was there for that conversation, and it did happen. So we'll just see how it goes. We're coming up on 10 laps to go here in this race, and battles, there are zip, zero, none, zilch on track right now. It is all about Joshua Altus, who is out front leading this race, and it looks like Tanner Johnson is going to bring that number 23 down pit road for service. and he's going to take tires and fuel. This is a very late stop, but again, remember, he came in way earlier than everybody else.
Yeah, and those extra tires certainly have helped out so much. And now we get to wait and see, reaping the rewards. Now 9 laps to go. This has been a long race, but man, has it been exciting.
It has definitely been exciting. Coming up on the 2-hour mark for the broadcast. Hopefully everybody out there is enjoying it, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, enjoying this race. It's it's been a long, drawn-out race. But it has definitely been a good one, especially there for a while. What did it say, lap 150 to 180 or so? There was a really good battle for the lead. Obviously, we know that fizzled out, and Joshua Altis trying to get his rookie stripes removed and get the victory here at Texas. And I venture to say he's probably going to do it.
Yeah, Altis came into this race questioning if he was going to have to really win to get in, or if he was going to have to really have a great day. Not enough drivers showed up, so it gave Altis an automatic lock-in to the playoffs. So that stress was off of himself. He just had to race and be consistent here tonight with no worries of possibly being taken out of the playoffs. And he's been doing a great job. You could tell that he's not feeling too stressed, been slowly, methodically working forward. It's been a great run to watch the 5 so far all night long. And, we were looking at Tom Bourne as the favorite because he was leading by so much. And then we got to see Hardison and Deweese slowly catching up to Tom, and then they had their scuffle. And then we got to see a new group of drivers surging up, and it was that of Josh Altis coming up. And this 5, I am excited to see what he's going to be doing in the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely looking to see as well. And what we're about to see is 5 to go. This is what I like to call the, overtime go home rule. At this point right there, as we have 5 laps to go, if we were to get a first caution to this race, it would lead us into overtime, and we would see some things get shaken up. That being said, Sam, if I was going to take it to the bank, I think we're safe to say no caution here tonight.
Yeah, that was a very safe call. I think with the amount of drivers that we had, there were a lot of close calls that we saw. Logan Brakey and Robert Kenny, they'd been battling. They were close to almost making an accident happen. We'd seen, Shane Terrian and Trenton Jump. They got loose a couple of times early in the race, trying to handle what they've been doing. And it's been a great run, but Tom Bourne, he's not going to be able to do it, make it all the way. He has to come into pit road, and we knew he was going to be short. He had to try his best to save and just wasn't able to.
And just not quite enough for Tom Bourne, not to mention the damage on that car. His fate is definitely sealed now. As he's going to go at least a lap down. Altis only has to hang on for 3 more laps, actually about 2.5 as he's coming down the backstretch here to complete. I don't even know what lap this is, like 197, 98.
Oh my goodness. We talked about, getting off of pit road. I was watching Tom trying to get off pit road. He almost made a little bit of a slip up. I'm waiting to see if possibly he got a black flag for it, but he kind of came up onto the track a little bit too soon. There's a possible chance the 54 could have gotten black flagged. He just came in for a splash of fuel. His goal has to finish in front of Austin Jordan. He has the 2 bonus points over the 28 as they came in tied. So even if he falls the 3 laps down, he should be all right. But that was a big scare for the 54.
Yeah, that is not what he wanted. Of course, his day has gone up in smoke, so I'm sure he's a little frustrated as well. Meanwhile, it is your CRN 1 to go. Check them out at wearecrn.com for some sports talk, radio, football, basketball, other sports, of course, sim racing as well here on LSRTV. White flag is in the air, and Sam, I'm betting on Altis. I think he has got this one in the books.
Oh, he's completely got this in the books. It's the 5 of Joshua Altis, a rookie, and the last regular season win goes to the 5 with all the momentum going into the playoffs. We'll see. What does Altis, as the rookie, does he have enough to really challenge those of Trenton Jump, Shane Terrian, and Braxton DeWeese? Those three have looked so good all season long, but it was Shane Terrian that really had the best run, and he was doing it on a wheel and not a controller like he's been doing most of the season.
Yeah, he is now on that wheel. We'll see if he continues on that wheel in the post-race show, and I believe we're waiting on just one more car. It says finishing, and no, they're going to pull it down the pits. I believe that was the one car we were waiting on to cross the line. We'll see for sure, as again, it still says finishing, which means somebody has not crossed the line. And
I think that might be Tom.
Yeah, there it is. Now it is finished. So officially, this race is in the books, and you're going to see Joshua Altus burn them down here. Well, possibly did at least half a donut.
Yeah, got kind of caught up, got hit by Robert Kenny coming into the pits. I don't think Kenny was expecting them to completely stop for those drivers, but for Altus, great job for him. He's getting to burn it down, just have a little bit of fun, saluting the fans, and man, what a day for that 5.
Yeah, what a run indeed. As we will quickly jump over to your results. Excuse me here for the Adrenaline iRacing series, and we'll quickly run through these. Not not a lot, but still some really good battles here. Joshua Altus, the rookie, getting his first win here on the season. Shane Terrian on a steering wheel for the first time, thanks to my challenge, and Bronson Stafford rounding out your top 3. 2 very good stories we'll be talking to out of those 3 drivers here in just a bit. Trenton Jump going to be your 4th place, followed by Robert Kinney, Logan Brakey, Braxton DeWeese, Tom Bourne, Spencer Hardison, and Tyler Stooksbury going to round out the top 10, and we'll finish off the last 4. Going to be Austin Jordan, Matt Dyer, Tanner Johnson, and Eric Stamp will be your final 4 drivers here tonight. It's been a good one, Sam. I'm looking forward to talking to these top 3 drivers here in the post-race show.
Yeah, and based on where these drivers finished, that last time I ran down the points, those are the final 12. It's going to be that of Trenton Jump, Shane Terrian, Braxton DeWeese, Bronson Stafford, Logan Brakey, Spencer Hardison, Matt Dyer, Eric Stamp, Joshua Altus, who just won here tonight, as well as Tyler Stooksbury, Austin Jordan, and Tom Bourne being your last driver into the top 12.
Definitely a good one. We're going to step away. When we come back, it'll be time to talk to the top 3 drivers, and should be a very interesting post-race show. We'll be right back here in just a few moments with your post-race show here on LSRTV from No Limits, Texas at Texas Motor Speedway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with what I declare is going to be an action-packed post-race show. Sometimes I may skimp on the show because I want to go get some food because I'm a hungry man. But we're not going to do that here tonight. We actually don't do that very often. But regardless of that, we are back. Myself and Sam, we have Stafford, Altus, and Terrian here in the booth. And, of course, a good race. We'll start with Bronson Stafford in 3rd place. Bronson, you come in 3rd here tonight. I always ask that $1 million question. What do you think you needed to catch up with Shane and Joshua? Possibly a caution, as we went caution free here for 200 laps.
A bulldozer to get rid of this track.
Well, this is my home track. You can't get rid of. Well, actually,
it was better before, Charles. No, honestly, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't figure it out till like lap 100, and then from there it was just honestly. I think I was like 5th or 6th. So the fact I got 3rd, I'm pretty happy with. But a yellow might have helped at the end. But besides that,
definitely a yellow, possibly going to shaking things up to say the least. And I'm okay. You can bulldoze this track as long as you leave the dirt track next to it. We're fine.
There you go. Compromise.
Yes, we compromise.
You grab the dirt track, get rid of this track.
I'm perfectly fine with that. But that being said, you had a good run. Congrats on 3rd place, and we'll toss it down to Sam.
Yeah, I mean, gotta say, for you, Bronson, great run for yourself. What was something that, we saw you battling with a lot of different drivers? Was it the fact that it was hard to save tires, or it just seemed like that was the biggest factor for a lot of these drivers?
Yeah, I don't know. 1 and 2 is so flat. Where if you're kind of stuck behind someone, you kind of cook the right front, but 3 and 4, you'll get loose. The only run that I didn't have anyone in front of me was from 100 to 150, and that's the only run I never got loose or tight. So I don't know. I mean, it was tricky. It was just 2 different ends of the track. It just wears the tires differently, and some people are better with it or not tonight. Altis, for example, he nailed it. Like he gapped Shane like a 1.5 seconds in those last 10 laps. So yeah, tire wear was pretty big.
Also, playoffs right around the corner. How are you feeling about this first round?
I don't even know what the tracks are, so I don't know. I don't know, actually. I've kind of been in a rough run lately, so this feels good. Ever since really Charlotte, it's been a rough get-go, and then, Indy blowing tire wrecks or can't qualify good at the road courses, so I can't get the spots up, and so I don't know. We'll see. It resets. We'll hopefully try and get back the form we had before everything started going downhill back with Auto Club and Charlotte and them. So
yeah, those 3 tracks: Darlington, Iowa, and Talladega, the first round. So it's going to be a handful. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Definitely you guys for coming on board with the late season after, the whole whatever happened with Freaky Fast and all that stuff, but LSR picking up was huge and really cool to see. It's always fun to have Charles and you get back in the booth and such, and TJ and Breaky and stuff putting this league on, and next season looks fun. Schedule looks fun. Stage racing's back. I don't know if you guys saw the announcement or not yet, but yeah, I don't know. Should be fun. The good future ahead, and just everything going on really throughout the league, and just everyone doing their part tonight to go caution free.
Well, again, congrats on 3rd place. It's a good thing I don't have an ego, Sam, as I'm the best there ever was. But that being said, we're going to jump over to Shane and Terry. And Shane, you came in 2nd here tonight, there for probably a good 15 or 20 laps. Probably the best battle of the night between you and Josh, playing back and forth. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast, just because there was only 14 cars doesn't mean there's not going to be good battles. You were plus 11 when it was all said and done, coming from the rear to the front of this field. But that isn't really the thing we want to talk about. That is, we threw out a challenge. Use a wheel instead of a controller this week. You did it. You still finished in 2nd. Are you going to continue using that wheel or go back to the evil controllers, which are nice controllers, by the way?
Maybe not for the playoffs. I probably will switch the controller. Or maybe, it depends. If there's some good 1.5 miles, I might. I just haven't gotten the braking down on a wheel yet, not properly. But man, that was, my hands hurt from death gripping the crap out of that wheel. I gotta learn to not do that. But yeah, I started in the back, so I didn't know, because I was crashing a lot by myself and testing. So I was like, I'm just gonna start in the back, learn, and this is a win for me. I'll take it. I mean, Altis battled me pretty closely, and I was like, all right, if I screw up, this is not going to be good. But I surprised myself, so I mean, I'm pretty excited about it.
Well, I'll take it as a win for me too. I threw out a challenge, and you're the first person to ever accept the challenge that I've thrown down. Of course, I've never thrown down a challenge, so I'm 1 for 1. That means good for me. That being said, again, congrats, and we'll pass it to Sam.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, I talked to you before the race. You did some solo practice, said that it felt loose. Do you think that solo practice and dealing with a lot looser of a car helped you here tonight to kind of have a sense of how to hold on?
A little bit. I mean, racing in the draft actually helped too because it tightened it up. So I was able to learn just the track and how to really race it. And then as I progressed through the field, I could start to feel almost what the car was doing more as I got more laps in. So I was able to, I got loose a lot and didn't overcorrect. I just, eased it back and kept going. And I caught on quick. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll use it more. I know Bronson and a lot of people have been telling me to use this wheel, and after finishing second, I might have to start using the wheel a lot more.
Oh man, Cow's Evil Controller is gonna have to sponsor you this time. But certainly, it was fun watching you get better and better throughout the night and slowly going through the field. But again, same thing I asked Bronson. How are you feeling about the playoffs? Those first 3 races of Darlington, Iowa, and Talladega. That first round seems pretty chaotic.
Yeah, I mean, Darlington should be fine. Pretty good there. I know Bronson's good there. Tom's good there as well. Kenny's also good there too. I mean, we raced in an open setup league there, and it was me, Tom, and Kenny were like best 3 cars. So we'll see what happens on a fixed setup. Iowa, that is probably my favorite track of all time. So that's probably like my Phoenix, to be honest. So we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping I can win that one, and then just hoping I can win either Dover or Iowa, so I don't got to worry about Talladega. I'll be on a wheel for sure at Talladega.
That's good to know. More wheel action from Shane. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out you controllers. I know I raced the wheel tonight. Probably shouldn't use the paint scheme, but whatever. And then, of course, the leagues for letting me in. This is my last season because the announcement, they put an iRacing cap, so I'm above that. Won't be back next season for sure. You guys for broadcasting, and, congrats on Altis for winning. That was a very fun battle, very intense. My heart was racing because I did not want to screw up.
Again, congrats on second with the wheel for the first time here tonight. And that leads us to our race winner here tonight, Joshua Altis. Josh, you got the win here. You're the rookie getting the win. Did you think you were going to get it? You knew coming in you had to start the race. That was kind of lifted when you knew there was only 14 cars. You started. You were already going to make the playoffs. Then you go out and win the race.
Oh, we got one, Charles. No, I'm definitely excited, man. We just executed tonight. I really like this track at Texas. I feel like we ran here at S&B last season. I feel like one kind of got away from me. Me and Jacob Grant traded paint several times in that race, and always been kind of kicking myself. So this definitely feels like redemption today. We were just good, man. We had a good car. Felt like I could manage the tires really well on the long run, and it just worked out. I was nervous when Shane got up to me. I kept looking at my relative, and it seemed like he was the only one that could kind of hang with me, and he was just kind of inching his way up. And obviously, someone who's won as many races as he has, he's the guy to beat every week. So it makes it feel even sweeter being able to beat him.
Definitely, it was a good run for you. Getting that win, kind of getting that monkey off your chest, or monkey off your back. Man, I am just butchering these things.
We had a monkey everywhere, Charles. Honestly, we had struggled, and we've been faster than where we've been finishing. I told you before we came on air. I feel like if things had gone a little bit different, we could be in the top 5 consistently. And I don't run with a lot of these guys every week. There's a handful that run S&B, but I just feel like we haven't quite been performing to our potential, and we put it all together tonight.
Definitely put it all together. And Sam, any final questions for him?
Yeah, no, I mean, Josh, we saw the evolution of this race. You qualified in 3rd, and then you kind of let Hardison and Deweese just take off in front of you and you're just lingering in fourth. Were you waiting for them to make a mistake, or were you kind of content on where you were running there in the first half of the race?
I was pretty content. Tom Bourne was really fast at the beginning. I think he and I were pretty equal. He might have been a touch better at the beginning, and I feel like the door really opened up. Since he was out front, I'm sure he was using more fuel than I was because I was in a little bit of that draft, and he pitted a little bit early, which opened the door because I thought at that point, as long as it stayed green, that we could play the fuel mileage game, and Braxton and Spencer both pitted a little early too. So at that point, I just felt like, if I could just manage the race as best as I could, just kind of stay in touch with them, because I thought they were all going to be short, which a lot of them were. So it just worked out, man.
A great run for yourself. Congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, appreciate it. I got to thank Jacob Grant and Chris Smith, High Five Racing, 546 Racing, for kind of putting this deal together. This was something I never really had on my radar, and Jacob approached me, a couple weeks before the season started and said, hey, we'd love for you to come run with us and just get some extra laps. And I've really enjoyed, running with those guys who are normally our rivals in the S&B Cup Series, me being a part of MP Motorsports. So it's kind of cool to be on the other side and work with those guys. They're all really cool. Bratson, great teammate, really, really big rival in the S&B Cup Series, but I enjoy working with them. And unfortunately, Keenan couldn't quite make it with us tonight, but just appreciate all my teammates. Shout out to my buddy and co-owner, Rob Sherwood. I'm looking forward to getting S&B Cup Series starting soon. In a week and a half. Thanks to Tanner Johnson, all the admins who put on this. Thanks to you guys for picking up this series. And, hopefully this is the first of many. I'm looking forward to going in the playoffs. And last thing I got to say, if you're talking about challenges, Charles, I would love to put a challenge out to Shane to stay on a wheel through the playoffs. He's a phenomenal driver. And, if he did as good as he did tonight on a wheel, I'd like to see what he could do through the playoffs. I think it'd be a competitive.
Definitely would be competitive. I think he's definitely good on the wheel as well as he is the controller. Hey, and if he moves to the wheel, I'm going to call dibs on his evil controller. That being said, Sam, what are your final thoughts as we sign off here from Texas Motor Speedway?
Yeah, it was a long race, and, props to the drivers. It was a 14-car field, a little bit smaller, but we went green for the full 200 laps. That's a lot of laps to run, and to stay green that whole entire time, props to them. And then also for Josh Walters, finally getting a win, and also, being locked into the playoffs is a great momentum push. Can't wait to see how that 5's going to do there.
I'll definitely looking to see how he does. That being said, we are going to sign off here for tonight. Still only 7:30 Central Time, so you got a little time to go spend with the rest of your Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, and we'll see you tomorrow night as we come with the American iRacing League and the Northwest Cup Series. The dirt's over for them. We're going back to normal racing. We'll see you there with some Legends, late models, super late models, and then cup cars at 10:30 p.m. Central Time, and of course at 6 p.m. Central Time for the other three. We'll see you there, and of course stay safe